Hi guys, it's Saintvicious, and I'm going to be doing the patch 4.7 rundown. It's not too big of a patch, and there's not like any huge changes, but there's a couple changes to some really highly contested champions that are pretty big in solo queue and pretty big in competitive play. And to start that off, we're going to go with Gragas, who I think Riot has just kind of accepted that um, he's a support champion now, I almost want to say. He's been kind of popular in some of the challenger scenes and a couple of the other regions. He just has so much health. He has a really good stun on a low cooldown. And he also has a massive amount of damage reduction with his W. And he can also has pretty good sustain if you just spam your ability. So you can just keep yourself up in lane, stay healthy, and like take a lot of damage. And on top of that, you also have your slow from your barrel roll. So I think Riot like accepted that. They're like, okay, Gragas is good in the support role. And to go along with that, they did his barrel roll now grants vision after it reaches the target destination. So if you're playing support Gragas, instead of just like face checking into everything or like trying to get brush control, you can just throw your barrel into a brush. Be like, hey, there's nobody there. Like I got full vision of it, and then you can just drop the wards down. So I think that's a really good support mechanic, and I'm glad they did that to him. So small buff to Gragas support, and then Drunken Rage buff no longer consumed on hitting a ward. Uh, I never even really had knew about that problem to begin with. But yeah, Drunken Rage is a little bit of a buggy ability, but it's good that they did that. And then Explosive Cast, reduce the size cast indicator to better represent the actual radius. So now it's 11,150. Reduce size of cast indicator to better represent. Oh, that's the clarity thing. Okay, yeah. So they made Explosive Cast a little bit further range. I think this is just to make it to where it says easier. They want it to be more of a playmaking ability rather than just like an all-in damage ability. And yeah, I think you're just gonna be able to set up plays a lot better and like position a lot better with the ultimate. And I think this also goes along with the support Gragas thing, because before when you throw your ultimate, you would throw it into like a cluster of enemies and just try to do as much damage as possible. But now with the support Gragas, you're more using it for a utility tool. Then Jarvan changes. Like I play a lot of Jarvan. I played almost nothing but Jarvan in season 3. He's one of my favorite champions, and they did some changes to him. They made it to where now his passive, the one that does percentage of your health when you do the first hit of your current health, now it's 10% at all levels rather than just starting at 6%. So what that means, well, actually I'm going to go over the rest of it. The same target cooldown is now 10, 8, 6. So that means that your opening burst damage to Jarvan, when you do that opening hit, you're going to do more damage overall, and you're going to do more damage on buffs, more damage on targets. But you might not be able to get that second passive proc off in your early scrap. So this is kind of like a buff nerf to Jarvan. I think if you're just trying to instantly burst somebody down in your EQ combo, this will be a buff and you'll do more damage overall. But if you're trying to like scrap it out with somebody, which is something that Jarvan's not very good at to begin with, it's going to be a nerf to him. So I think that changes like whatever for him, because you're getting gains and you're getting negatives on it. So I'm not really sure that's quite the tweak that Jarvan needed, but it'll definitely make his burst damage pretty damn high on his level 3 gank. Let's see, then Golden Aegis is now 30 man at all ranks. I really like this change because something a lot of people do now is they max Golden Aegis second instead of maxing the flag. And that's just because like they nerf flag, the attack speed on and all that, and the armor. Now like you max Golden Aegis and it just gives you a huge shield, and it's also really good for clearing the jungle. Like if you have Golden Aegis up all the time, you can be a really healthy jungler, especially with Spirit of the Elder Lizard or Ancient Golem, whichever you want to choose to go with. You can stay pretty topped off, so you can just scrap people out in the jungle pretty hard. I don't think these are the changes that are going to make Jarvan like full-on viable as a jungler. I think these are more, I want to say, top lane changes for Jarvan. Like that 10% current health is like more of a top lane thing, because you're going to get like one auto off on your top lane, you're going to back off, and then the mana change on the W will it'll just make it to where you can use your W more in scrap. So I think these are overall buffs to top lane Jarvan. And then they're just kind of like minor tweaks to jungle Jarvan. You might say some top lane Jarvans, but from my understanding, like a lot of the top lane matchups with Jarvan are like really kind of hard to play. But I think he can beat a couple of people top lane. He has a couple good matchups. We got next. We got Kassadin. Pretty much all they did here is they just reverted the changes that they did last patch, where they just gave him that massive magic shield that made it to where almost no mage could scrap him. Like, that change to the magic shield made it to where Kassadin had an amazing laning phase, and Kassadin's not really about having an amazing laning phase. So I think they just reverted those changes, and I think they're going to look to buff Kassadin elsewhere in some of the later patches. So Yeah, I mean he was like a top ban a lot in high challenger. So I don't know. I think they're just gonna work on challenger or Kassadin later, and I'm not really sure how I feel about him. I don't think that he's gonna be like too tremendously good with this change, but maybe later when they work on him, he'll be like a top champion again. All right, Kha'Zix. These are like I'd say this is the biggest change of the patch as far as like major competitive play champions. They made it to where the isolation is like much larger. The 500, like you can be much further away from one of your teammates, and you won't get the isolation proc. What that is that basically makes it to where like if somebody's running away, trying to get away from Kha'Zix, and they get too far away from their team, uh, they can just get more distance from their team without getting the isolation damage from Kha'Zix. And because before what happened is like oh my god, Kha'Zix is on me, I gotta get away, and he'd be running and running and running, and usually in solo queue like people aren't very organized, and they'll just get picked off by Kha'Zix and get that massive isolation damage spike. But now it's going to be a little harder to do that. And then this change is really huge. Turrets now count as allies when determining whether a target is isolated. This is big because before, like if I played Kha'Zix and my top laner was like Renekton or something, I would just be like, oh, you're level 6, I'm level 6. Like, let's just dive this guy. He's full health, like it doesn't matter. He's got the jungler there, don't care. Like, I'm just going to kill his ass, like, so easy. Because you just do massive isolation damage, and because they can actually sit under the turret and rely on not getting isolated, because usually when you're under the turret, you're away from creeps, so you'd be isolated before. Now you're not going to be isolated. So that's a pretty big damage nerf to Kha'Zix's all-in at level 6 if you're just tower diving somebody. And then also the stealth recast is now 2 seconds between stealth casts rather than 1. That's pretty big in team fights when you're trying to do it to where you're like, you're doing your auto queue, like you stealth auto queue and then stealth auto queue, then stealth auto queue, where you're just trying to stay in the thick of the team fight and keep that high damage reduction up from his evolved ultimate. It's going to be a little bit harder to do that now. I still think Kha'Zix will be a pretty damn good champion and a pretty contested pick, but these are definitely healthy changes to Kha'Zix that don't really break his kit that much. So I still think he's going to be good. He's still going to be a pretty contested pick, but these changes make him more manageable. Lissandra, they finally fixed the frozen tomb things. Because what happened before is like people could like jump out of Lissandra's ultimate, and they could also like silence Lissandra while she's ultimate. They could do a whole bunch of like weird stuff to Lissandra when she's casting her ultimate, and it would put your ultimate on cooldown without even like stunning the person. And yeah, it was just a really buggy ability. I think Lissandra is actually a pretty good champion. She's a good top laner, and she actually has like some pretty good matchups mid. So I'm glad they actually fixed this Frozen Tomb thing, because that's one of the reasons why people didn't want to play her in a lot of cases, is because like what happens if you're in a high-end competitive play match and your ultimate just bugs and you just don't want to have that situation. Like that could cost you the game. So I really like Lissandra, and I hope that she sees some play, especially in top lane. I think TP, who has Soaz really likes top lane Lissandra. So I really hope we see some more of that. They did some Malphite changes. Of course, for top lane Malphite, I think like none of these changes are really what Malphite needs. Like he's got some weird problems. Like they made it the recharge rate on the shield. It's now 10.86. That's kind of like eh. I mean, you can take poke better late game, which is great, I guess, but that's not really that big a deal. And then they also lowered the mana cost on Brittle Strikes. Brittle Strikes is kind of like, who cares? I mean, you usually use a lot of your mana for Q trading, but at least you'll be able to use Brutal Strikes for farming waves and last hitting under turret a little bit better. So I guess he has that going for him. We'll see, though. I mean, Malphite's kind of like a real situational niche pick. Like, you'd pick into like an all AD comp or something like that. Maybe this will make him a little bit better for that. They randomly added an AP ratio on Misfortune's double up, which is, I don't know, maybe there's like a Gunblade Misfortune out there that's like, man, I'd really like to just do more damage with my Q. But, I don't know. That's for you, guy. Then they have like minor changes and bug fixes. Playful tricks to fix some cases where Fizz could be stunned or rooted while in his troll pull. I don't really play a lot of Fizz, but I'm sure like this happens, and if I got stunned while I was in my like upward thing where I'm supposed to be invincible, I'd be pretty pissed off. So I hope yeah, it's good that they fixed that. Mana cost is now displayed on the cast icon, similar to Kassadin's Riftwalk. This is really big for like AP Cog and like AD Cog even too, because you go through mana so fast on Kog'Maw, it's ridiculous. And you can like misjudge like how much mana you're gonna have left to use your other abilities. So it's good that they did this. Like it's a good quality of life change, and just a tooltip and change. So no real actual changes to Kog'Maw, just like aesthetic stuff. Nautilus. Tooltip corrected to display the actual time between roots on the same target. 12 to 9 seconds. I didn't even know that that was a bug. And I played so much Nautilus. Damn. Well, nobody really plays Nautilus anymore. Maybe once he gets a couple more buffs. We'll see. Rengar, using an empowered ability immediately after leveling the base ability for the first time roller and triggers the base ability's cooldown. Didn't really know about that bug either. The bonus damage now applies lifesteal. That's actually pretty big because a lot of Rangers are going like Blade the Rune King and Hydra builds, so that's pretty nice for sustaining in lane. I'm surprised that that bug is in the game so long. Bone Tooth Nexus. Fixed the bug where stacks bonuses are being lost upon switching trinkets. That would suck pretty bad too. Because a lot of people, I guess, switch to sweeper type trinkets or something, so that's a pretty good change. Shen, Stand United. Fixed a bug where Stand United would occasionally cancel itself. That has been in the game since Shen has been in the game. It's a really, really big bug, and I think since they fixed that bug, you're going to start seeing Shen in competitive play again. Globals are just always powerful, and Shen actually has surprisingly a lot of good lane matchups. So, really glad they fixed this. Twitch, we're ironing out some minor issues, yada yada yada. Fixed the bug, so it's audio, who cares. Fixed the bug display, ambush cooldown would appear, start when Twitch enters stealth, but reset. That's not really like that big of a deal. Fixed the bug, rat-a-tat-tat, spray and pray. Could sometimes critically strike towers. I didn't even know that you could critically strike towers with that. That'd be ridiculous. You like IE crit a tower for like 1,000, you're like, damn, just two-shot that tower. Fix some cases where Vladimir can be stunned or rooted while in his troll pool. Well, I guess that's the same thing as... actually, you know what? The exact instance I know with Vladimir is when Ryze will like raise his hand up, and like while he's doing that, Vladimir's pulling. You'll sometimes be rooted by Ryze, and you'll be stuck in place. So that's one of the exact instances I know of this where you can get CC'd. Tooltip correctly indicates the actual heal amount to 15%. Here's a big change since heal is so broken. The fact that it removes grievous wounds now is going to make Ignite actually more effective counter to heal. Because before I'd be like, why would you even bother taking Ignite? Like, heal just removes it, and I can just hit it with another heal. And whoever wants to take Ignite, like, heal's just too damn good. So I think this is going to make it to where Ignite might be a little bit more prevalent in the bot lane, and even more prevalent in the mid lane. So I definitely think this is heading in the right direction, and I think it will balance out heal a lot. So I'm glad that they changed that. Here's big change, the Feral Flare nerfs. Ugh. I don't really like where they went with this. It's 50 damage against monsters on Magic Razor, so that already makes you clear slower when you have the Magic Razor, which I think is fine, because once you got the Magic Razors before, you just started like powering through the jungle. And then on top of that, the Wriggles Lantern kills and assists now count swords transforming to Feral Flare. I do like this change, because what this makes it to do is before, people would not want to leave the jungle because they felt like Feral Flare stacks were far more important than getting like lane farm or getting kills or assists and things like that, or being involved in your team. And then they also lowered the main damage on that to 75 against monsters, which is like whatever because you already like butcher monsters as is. But these are the big changes. They nerfed the Feral Flare itself, so plus 75 against monsters, that's still whatever. The big change is this is the big change for me. Basic attack heal increases with stacks. They remove that, so now you just have the base one. It's kind of like before you'd be playing like Zen or Nocturne, and you'd have like 20, 30 stacks, and you'd be healing like 200 health a hit with like a Blade of the Ruined King. You'd be going like so ham. And then they nerfed that. I guess those champions, like, they scale just ridiculously and could hard carry games way too much with it. So I guess it is a good nerf, but that late game monster type junglers, like, they're just gonna hard carry the game. They're just gonna be out. And I mean, I know everybody else is like, yeah, like perfect. Like, this is exactly what we needed. But me as a jungler, I'm like, damn you, Riot. Like, I liked carrying games. And then the transform stat bonus, where you gain attack damage plus attack speed when transformed from Wriggles Lantern. You'd have the 35% attack speed and the 15 damage. That's what it is now. It's just 12 and 30%. I don't think Feral Flare is going to be, like, obsolete anymore. I still think some champions like Zen and Nocturne are still pretty damn beast with it, and even Master Yi. But their late game is going to be a lot weaker. I'd say this is I almost want to say it's a buff / nerf because it's a kills assist thing, because you're going to be more involved with your teammates and you're going to be going around making plays. But just the late game with the items is going to be overall hit. Still think it's a good item though. Still think people build Feral Flare. I still like it though. I just think people will not always opt directly into Feral Flare or like into those junglers. I think it'll be more of a situational item. Um, and yeah, that's. I think it's okay. People still go with it. Sunfire particle update. Who really cares? Minion and Monstrago display orange outline, animated HP. So that's like cosmetic changes. Summoner's Rift, trinkets. This is the big one for competitive play, and even for solo queue. Like now you can trinket at 30 seconds. And so when I go into a solo queue game, I literally invade every single game, no matter what, right now, because there's really no punishment. If I just go in from a weird angle and I sit it in like a weird brush and just take your buff, and you can't see me doing it, there's like no penalty. But now that people can actually trinket outside of stuff and you can gain vision, uh, it's gonna just make it a lot better and make these crazy ass level ones a lot better. And then for competitive play, it eliminates the 4-0 push because now you can safely determine which buff you want to start at because you're gonna have wards outside everything. So everybody wanting to 4-0 push is just gonna not happen as much. So competitive play should be a lot more interesting in the early game. And on top of that, because they realize that the 4-0 push is going to be out a little bit, Dragon is going to be more of a mid-game kind of early-ish / mid-game thing. So they just wanted to bump up the gold into that 145. Because what happened before is people would 4-0 push, and then after they took the 2 turrets, they'd go down for Dragon if they're a blue side. So that just gave blue an automatic advantage. Now Dragon's going to be more contested around the mid-game. And also on top of that, to stop the 4-0 push, they made fortification damage reduction 30 instead of 20. And then they made fortification damage reduction 420 seconds rather than 480. Fixed the bug where damage dealt based on maximum monster health for being cat-coded and base off instead of... This is actually a pretty big change for Vi and for Blade of the Rune King. So, yes, it's just going to buff champions like that. There's Crystal Scar changes. I don't really play Crystal Scar, so I can't say anything. I don't play with bots. And there's a little client feature, Team Builder, don't use that. And skin changes. But yep, that's it for the patch note rundown. And don't forget to check out our sponsors. Absolute LoJack, if you guys have like a really nice laptop, like an Alienware laptop or something like that, and you want to keep it protected, keep it safe, and just have them recover it for you, and just don't forget to check them out. It's absolutelojack.com, and they protect more of the laptops too, but that's what they specialize in for right now. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll do another one on patch 4.8, and maybe I'll see you guys in competitive scene too. All right, bye-bye.